Eric Wilson here, managing partner of Startup Caucus, with another audio diary for you. I want to talk to you today about the ways that Startup Caucus helps entrepreneurs succeed. It's a question we get asked all the time from entrepreneurs, investors, other people in the industry. What do we specifically do beyond our investment to help people go to market, sell to more campaigns, things like that? So Startup Caucus is what we call a vertical software as a service, SaaS is the acronym, investment fund and incubator for companies that use technology to help Republicans win more elections. So the digital transformation of politics, as we know, is well underway, and driving innovation is mission critical to remaining competitive in campaigns up and down the ballot. The biggest challenge facing Startup Caucus isn't really technological or financial, but cultural. We're trying to lead the charge to transform how campaigns are run with more leverage, more data, and more effectiveness. And that's one of the reasons why our support for entrepreneurs extends beyond direct investment. So first of all, we serve as a welcoming point. When you're an entrepreneur without any political experience, it's hard to know where you should start. We've seen a lot of potential campaign tech founders get frustrated trying to pitch their idea to the wrong people in the wrong ways. Some examples include spending thousands of dollars to attend a fundraiser with a candidate, only to be fobbed off to fundraising staff, or maybe a brief intro to a campaign manager who's not really going to take you seriously. Another thing we see is pestering campaign managers in the middle of a campaign when they're overwhelmed with urgent responsibilities and a tight budget. They don't need new problems. Trying to meet with state party officials who may not experience the same pain points as your target customers on campaigns or political firms. Another thing I've seen is hiring a lobbyist with a strong legislative network to get help with sales meetings in politics. And again, that's not really the right fit. It's not how those decisions get made. So these are a few of the mistakes that I see people make. And so one of the ways that we help is connecting with those entrepreneurs. The sooner the better. And we help them avoid those expensive, time-wasting mistakes and get them heading in the right direction. After that, we serve as kind of an industry guide, like a Sherpa. We connect with entrepreneurs who are interested in building those campaign tech startups, and we're going to help them navigate the nebulous world of politics. It's really domain expertise that only comes with decades of experience working at every level of the industry. There aren't really any organizational charts. For example, sometimes candidate spouses are the most influential voices, but you're never going to see that in a political science textbook. There are important nuances, like what's the difference between a PAC, a super PAC, a party committee, a 501c4, that entrepreneurs really need to understand. And meeting the right people makes all the difference. So Startup Caucus helps you use unique public data like campaign spending reports to research the market and find your target customers. Who are the consultants you need to talk to? Who is the right person at that party committee or that firm that you need to be talking to? Just like a real world guide, we know the shortcuts and the traps to avoid, and we're going to help you. Next, we help you with positioning your company. So how you talk about your company, even in the earliest stages, makes a huge difference in how it's received in the industry. Political professionals rely on really aggressive pattern matching to make important decisions quickly. Remember that time, not money, is a campaign's most precious resource. And so they need to know how to make those decisions quickly because they're not going to get more time. You can always raise more money, hopefully. But if you describe what your software or company does in the wrong way, it could be dismissed instantly as being duplicative to something they already have. Even worse, the person you're pitching it to might mistakenly assume that it's competitive to a service that they provide or earn referrals from. And so if you talk about your company or product in the wrong way, you might not even get to the stage of getting feedback because of that misunderstanding or miscommunication. And that's on you as an entrepreneur to understand your industry, your audience, and your customers. We also help you with how to build a company. On the other end of the spectrum, we help a lot of political operatives with years of experience and a really deep political network transform their idea from a vision into a successful company. It's really easy to make different costly mistakes like hiring contract developers to build out a full product without going through some important steps to understand users and starting with a minimum viable product, what we call an MVP. And that's one mistake that we want to help people avoid. So we'll share with you low code, no code tools like we've talked about on this show on how to build a product and test your idea. Figure out what is that smallest bit of the idea that you can test and start getting feedback on. The company formation process and fundraising is totally foreign to most politicos. And we'll also help them navigate that as well. There are tons of resources out there from other more mainstream accelerators and incubators, but there are still some shortcuts that we can show along the way. Another area that we provide a lot of support in is pricing. So pricing your product for adoption is a major challenge for any political entrepreneur. On one hand, it is a major multi-billion-dollar industry, but on the other hand, the cash flows and spending patterns aren't really evenly distributed. So the strategy is still to flood the zone in those final weeks or months before an election. It's like a hockey stick. We've had guests talk about this on the show before, where you need to spend as close to zero as you can by election day. And so how you price your company's offerings or products needs to match the size and life cycle of a campaign. So anchoring your price point in relation to something familiar to a campaign decision maker, like this is the cost of a mail piece, a TV ad, or an employee, can help close the sale by ensuring they compare it to the right alternatives. This can be different than typical software as a service subscription pricing, where you've got a price point. Let's say you want to charge customers $1,000 every month for 18 months. Well, not every campaign can afford that. And so you might need to backload your billing to match when more resources are being spent by the campaign. Another thing that's really important is that customers are also looking for software with a service in the political space. They need someone to help them out with it because, again, these organizations are quick. They're run very lean. There's not much redundancy in terms of staff. And so entrepreneurs are really excited to get these sales, and then they do a lot of work helping their customers use it. And so I see them often failing to capture the value of the managed service they offer because they're so focused on that true software as a service, subscription-based pricing model. And it's important to make sure that you're capturing that value, you're providing that offering to your clients. You may have to do it yourself for a while, but you can also bring in other partners. Networking, in politics, every sale is an enterprise sale. It doesn't matter what your price point is. It's very frustrating. There are really significant network effects, though, because a lot of the decision makers influence multiple campaigns at the same time. So the quality of your political network will determine the success or failure of your campaign tech startup. So Startup Caucus functions as a network accelerator. Our entrepreneurs and portfolio companies instantly plug into our network of early adopters, decision makers, operatives, technologists, investors, and consultants. And we sort of lend them our network, our credibility, the trust that we have built up in the industry over decades. And then last but not least is funding. We provide direct financial investment to campaign tech startups. This is as valuable to our networks as it is to our portfolio companies, because the due diligence and scrutiny that comes with making an investment and looking into whether your company can actually do what it says it's going to do means that political professionals can trust the Startup Caucus seal of approval. There have been some notable instances in recent history of lofty promises from technology that failed to live up to the hype, quite frankly. And that has made political professionals very skeptical of new entrants to the market. So when we are able to get under the hood, so to speak, and see that you're able to do what you say you're going to do, that helps with adoption. We're also creating the first layer of a capital market for campaign venture funding on the right, because we are focused at that seed and early stage, sometimes even pre-revenue, but we want to make sure that we are building that layer so that the next level of Series A and growth funding can come in, because we want our entrepreneurs to see the potential for greater upside and returns, see this as a maturing career opportunity and a true entrepreneurial path. So just to wrap up, every startup comes with unique challenges, but campaign tech startups have to overcome the added difficulty of the politics of politics. And we built Startup Caucus to help those entrepreneurs overcome barriers like these more effectively, more efficiently, and affordably so we can fast track innovation into the field to help Republicans win more elections. We don't want our party to fall behind. So if you're an entrepreneur, you know of someone, you even get pitched an idea, please make the introduction. Just send me an email. Eric, ERIC at startupcaucus.com is my email address. Everyone can email me and I talk to everyone. I sit through every pitch because we want to make sure that we help people as soon as we can. So I want to say thank you for listening to this audio diary. We'll be back soon with more episodes of the Business of Politics show. And I'd love to hear your feedback if you'd like to continue hearing audio diaries like this.